Hello, everyone. It is time for Ask Gabe. I've got the master of SEO himself. Gabe, thanks for being here.
Thanks, mate.
Alrighty. Today's question is from Dane Alexander. Dane would like to know, what are some simple strategies that SMBs, small to medium businesses, can use to build links that are actually going to move the needle? What do you got, Gabe?
Yeah, this is a really good question. Link building is one of the hardest areas of SEO because it takes a lot of time and there aren't a lot of guarantees. And if you're a small to medium-sized business, you probably don't have a heap of brand recognition as well in the market. The bigger brands can oftentimes just leverage the fact that they're a big brand, and that helps them almost earn links naturally without any kind of effort applied. A little harder when you're on the smaller end of town and you're kind of a smaller size business. But there are some things that you can do. So one of the first things I think about, especially if you've got brick and mortar locations, so do you have an offline presence, a store that somebody can go into, is making sure that you're actually including your store details in popular free directories. So I think the likes of Yellow Pages, White Pages, True Local, and others. And this does help give you a little bit of authority and awareness. It also improves your local SEO, which can only be to your benefit. One of the other areas that I like to take advantage of that are really natural is think about your inner circle. Think about the people you've developed real world business relationships with. So it might be a charity that you're particularly passionate about, or you know, a membership organization, or it could be a supplier, or it could be a client you've worked with in the past. You know, for example, you might be a web development agency. And you might have built a website for a client, and you can ask them perhaps for maybe a testimonial or to be featured or something of that nature. So reach out to the people that you know and leverage those relationships for the purposes of links. That's a nice, natural, you know, realistic way of actually obtaining a link. You're not going out to a stranger and asking for charity. You're actually going out to the people that you work with, who trust you, who really should be the ones that are giving those natural endorsements.
Love it, love it. A couple of questions just without notice on this. Let's say you're a small to medium business and you've got the opportunity to, say, sponsor some local sporting clubs and the like. Think of their own sites. You could have your logo there pointing back to your site. Is there some value in that from an SEO perspective? You probably want to do it because you're a good person. You want to, you know, support your kids' club. But I'm curious about the SEO value of something like that.
There is some value in it. I personally recommend it. It's a little bit of a gray area. Google would probably say that they probably wouldn't want you to benefit from that because you've paid for that charity. But at the same time, I actually don't mind it. And to be honest, it's standard practice, right? You will see it virtually everywhere that if people do sponsor an organization, they do get their company profile up on the homepage, and they do get a link, and almost always those are do follow links. So I still think it's a valid tactic.
Excellent. And one last one. I don't know if this will make the final cut, but I'm curious anyway, because I get this quite a bit from small to medium businesses with just not enough budget. To be frank, a lot that just don't have the budget to work with an agency like us. They're like, well, I've got a guy, I found this guy on Fiverr, and, you know, for $100, he said he can pop on X amount of links. What's obviously I've got to, you know, I'll caution them to that, but what would you say to small to medium businesses who want to just jump on Fiverr and buy links?
I would say run in the opposite direction. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I mean, you're gambling. You're playing Russian roulette with your business online because what's the quality of link going to be if you're going through a Fiverr? Almost always, if you're paying $5 for a bunch of links, those links are going to be of really, really low value. Best case scenario, Google just ignores the link, discredits it, and you don't get penalized. Worst case scenario, your website gets penalized and disappears from Google overnight. So you want to be really, really careful about how you go about building links, who you get involved with. And I would say that Fiverr is most likely not the way to go. I would in fact recommend that you don't build a single link. If your only option was to go through Fiverr or to not build links, you're better off actually putting that money to other things, maybe paying somebody to write some really good content on your website instead, and taking advantage of some other SEO tactics and just building links for the sake of it.
Totally. Go support your son's soccer club instead.
Even better idea.
Excellent. Thanks, Gabe. Legend. And thank you, Dane, for the great question. Cheers.